All right, I think if the audience members can take their seats, we are getting ready to get started. Okay, good evening and welcome to the 2025 Baltimore County Redistricting Commission public hearing number 1. This public hearing is the first of 3 that the commission will hold. The purpose is generally to receive generalized feedback on the redistricting process that this commission is going through. Pull up the slides. So I want to introduce your commission members. The first district commission member, Rotunda Tate Duffy, unfortunately could not make it tonight. Our second district representative is Lisa Belcastro. Third district is Eric Rockel. Fourth is Cordell Grant. 5th district is John Delina. 6th district is Mr. Al Harris, and 7th district is Ed Kramer. If anyone wants to introduce themselves, feel free. Okay. So we do have, oh yes. Yeah.
I just want on behalf of the commission to welcome everyone that's here in person as well as those virtually on the feed tonight. And I think I'm speaking for all the commission. We, at this point, are blank slates, and we really want to hear your opinions and your judgment on this thing. That will inform us going forward as we do the work that we've been asked to do. Thank you.
And if I can just hop in really quick, I just want to thank you all so much for showing up tonight and letting your voices be heard. This truly is a historic moment for Baltimore County, and we all know that this commission was created through the will of Baltimore County voters, so it's important that the work be inclusive of the people and communities that make up Baltimore County. So I look forward from hearing from each of you, working with each of the wonderful commissioners here, and again, just working and partnering with the people and communities here in Baltimore County. Thank you.
Okay, and we do have quite an audience here, and we also have a couple of council members observing as well. Before we get started with public testimony, I want to give just a brief table setting presentation. The next slide. So the redistricting process is established in the county charter. There are 4 basic requirements that both the commission and the council must adhere to. The districts that are created through this process must be compact, contiguous, substantially equal in population, and must be given due regard to current natural, geographic, and community boundaries. It is really important to note that while these are in the county charter, they are heavily based on federal case law established through decades of redistricting litigation. One prime example of this is substantially equal in population is essentially the same as the one person, one vote principle established by the Supreme Court. Next slide. So in addition, both the commission and the council must adhere to state and federal requirements. On the federal level, the council districts must comply with the Federal Voting Rights Act. Generally, the analysis to make sure that it is compliant uses voting age population. On the state level, the commission and the council must use adjusted data from the state of Maryland. Essentially, this adds back in incarcerated persons into based on their last residential address or the address that they will return to upon release. Next slide. So this is where things deviate a little bit from the charter section. Because this commission is unique in that it is during the middle of a cycle and is not based purely on the fact of a new census, we have a bit of an abbreviated timeline. So normally this commission would start in March and finish by October. But this one in particular started in February, and as you can see, we've set some pretty aggressive timeframes to try and wrap up by mid-June. Next slide. So there are plenty of opportunities for the public to give their input on this process. This is, like I said, the first of 3 public hearings. We've actually scheduled our second public hearing. It's going to be held at the Perry Hall Public Library on Thursday, April 2nd from 6 to 8. Just a quick note, unlike tonight, we will not be taking virtual testimony at that public hearing because we will not have the equipment necessary. But it will be live streamed and recorded. So if you are unable to catch it on that date, you certainly can catch it afterwards. Next page. So we, commission staff have tried to give it as much information about this process as possible. We've created a dedicated landing page on the council's website that talks all about redistricting, not just this process, but redistricting in general. We've also heavily updated our redistricting manual for 2025. It's got a lot of information on not just this process, but the reason we're all here, the council expansion process, as well as some explanations of case law that happened as a result of the 2020 census. So if you're interested in the most recent federal case law, that is something to take a look at. And of course, this 2025 commission has its own dedicated website where you can keep up with all of our meetings, all of the presentations, everything. Next slide. So now is where I try and lay out some ground rules that I hope we can all adhere to. Speakers should have already signed up to testify. We're going to call speakers in the order of their sign up. Each time we call a speaker, we're going to call 2 names. First, the speaker who will be speaking next, and then the on-deck person, so that everyone online or in person can be ready to come up and start their testimony. It's going to be 3 minutes per speaker. We do have close to 30 speakers. So I realize that some of you have more than 3 minutes worth of testimony, but we're going to, in the interest of time and to make sure everybody gets heard, we're going to try and keep everybody to that 3 minutes. Any written materials that you might have, you can hand to me. Just let me know before you start speaking that you have some. And anyone online virtually who wants to submit written testimony, feel free to email the commission at its dedicated email address. Last, for those in person, please allow all speakers to give their testimony without interruption. I think we all want to hear everybody, and everyone deserves to be heard. So please be courteous. And with that, I think we can begin. The first speaker is Keith Dorsey, and the on deck is Linda Dorsey Walker.
Okay. Good evening, Commission members. I just wanted to begin by, saying in terms of congratulating you on the opportunity to be appointed to the commission. I worked with 3 of you on the work group, and I just want to continue to say I really enjoyed that, and then just wish you that in terms of you all, that you'll be able to get your work done in what is a very tight time frame. Unlike the other redistricting commissions over the last 60+ years, you all have to basically start from scratch as you go from 7 districts to 9 districts. And so that's going to be challenging. And so what I'm doing is tonight I'm recommending a base map for you all that would help, I think, in terms of being able to collapse a lot of work into a short time. It's a map that I call the Woodlawn approach. One of the issues of the restructuring work group as well as the council had to grapple with was the question of increasing ethnic diversity among the council. And while no district lines can guarantee who will be elected, the council had hoped that through the redistricting process, some improvement could be made. The biggest challenge is creation of a second predominantly African-American district. This is a concern because while African-Americans comprise 30% of the county population, it currently has only 14% of the representation on the council. Moreover, there's no other minority group anywhere near the concentration of African Americans in Baltimore County. That Northwest Corridor has an enclave of over 130,000 African Americans. To achieve the goal of a second African American district, one that's not just a name only, will require that you begin with figuring out what to do with the enclave, hence creating a new district in Woodlawn. Other attempts to create a second predominantly black district appear to fall short, both in allocating those in the enclave into 2 districts, thereby not diluting their voting strength, but also in fulfilling the charter guidelines to create districts that are compact, contiguous, substantially equal in population, with due regard given to current natural, geographic, and community boundaries. I believe this Woodlawn approach fulfills those objectives. It recognizes that an effective new district would need to be predominantly African American, meaning more than 60%, because minority districts are impacted by more residents below voting age and a higher turnover rate. This level would also allow the commission to tweak lines without greatly disturbing that ethnic balance that was trying to be achieved. In addition, the proposed Woodlawn approach maintains a stable voting process for almost all county residents, changing the boundaries of only 2 of the 2024 voter districts. Moreover, the proposed map preserves traditional communities through a Pikesville Council District and an Essex Middle River District. Along with a new Woodlawn District, it also creates a new Parkville White Marsh District. Thank you.
The next speaker is Linda Dorsey Walker, followed by Makita Scott.
Good evening. I'm Linda Dorsey Walker, and many of you may be familiar with the fact that I spent about 3 years working on trying to get this council expansion. I'm glad that even though we weren't able to achieve the 4 districts that we had aimed for, we're at least trying to get the 2 districts added on. I am here to speak in support of the Woodlawn approach to doing the redistricting. I think it has several different advantages. One of the things that came out at the last meeting was the whole issue of communities of interest. If you look at the map is successful in doing several different things. First of all, it follows all of the traditional redistricting standards, as Keith Dorsey said, in terms of compactness, contiguous districts, as well as comparable size. But more than that, it respects traditional historic communities. For example, it keeps together what most people consider Towson. Some of you had said to me, wait a minute, we don't want Towson split up. This keeps it very compact. It holds together almost every bit of Pikesville, another traditionally recognized community. We tried to respect that. In addition to that, we have 2 predominantly African-American districts that will be at a level that the Justice Department allowed us to have back in 2001 when we created the 4th District. And that was a largely majority minority district in Randallstown, a largely majority minority district in Woodlawn, but more important, in the 1st District, in the 7th District, and in the 8th District. If you look at the statistics, 40 to just over 40% of the population, the voting age population, is BIPOC, people that include African Americans and other minorities. A perfect example of opportunities created for people to be crossover candidates. If at 40%, you can influence the outcome of elections. So no, we may not be able to have 4 districts as we had hoped, but through the map that we've developed, it will at least give a very strong opportunity, not just for 2 identifiably African-American districts, which Justice Department said we could do, but it will also give the opportunity for 3 more 40 or more percent, just starting off now, it's going to increase over time, 40 or more percent districts that are minority. So my goal was to give people a voice. I think this is a good jumping off point because it accomplishes a lot of what people have said in previous meetings they wanted to accomplish. Thank you so much, and I urge your support for this as the base map.
The next speaker is Makita Scott, followed by Joanne Antoine.
Good evening. Good evening, Redistricting Commission members and fellow Baltimore County residents. My name is Makita Scott, and I am here to emphasize the need for a fair and transparent redistricting process in Baltimore County. The 2025 redistricting process will shape our county's representation for years to come. This is more than just drawing district boundaries. It's about making sure every resident has a voice and equal access to resources. As Baltimore County continues to grow and evolve, our districts must reflect these demographic changes to ensure fair and inclusive representation for all of our communities. In the last election, voters overwhelmingly supported expanding the county council from 7 to 9 seats through Resolution 47-24. While this was a step in the right direction, simply adding more districts does not automatically guarantee fair representation. The 2025 Redistricting Commission now has the crucial responsibility of creating and recommending a new map. This process presents an opportunity for voters and community members to advocate for a map that is truly representative and serves the needs of all Baltimore County residents. The people of Baltimore County are engaged and we are paying attention. We expect and deserve a redistricting process that upholds fairness, transparency, and genuine representation. This is the only way to ensure that every community's voice is represented and valued. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
The next speaker is Joanne Antoine, followed by Mary Muth.
Hopefully you can hear me, but good evening. For the record, my name is Joanne Antoine, Executive Director of Common Cause Maryland. And Common Cause is a nonpartisan organization that, is largely focused on building an inclusive democracy here in the state. And as part of that work, we spend a great deal of time working on elections and obviously redistricting at the state and local level. I'm going to keep my testimony short because the individuals that you need to hear from today are residents of Baltimore County, but I just wanted to lift up some core principles as the commission comes together to draw its map, right? Obviously, the goal in redistricting is first and foremost to make sure that the maps are outside of making sure that the maps are consistent with requirements in the Constitution, what we want to ensure is that the map is also compliant with the letter and the spirit of the Federal Voting Act. More importantly, its prohibition on vote dilution and retrogression. We also want to make sure that I also want to make sure that the commission is considering communities of interest. While, our goal should be to keep these communities intact when drawing the maps, but obviously that should only be second to compliance with, requirements of the Constitution and of the federal VRA. But again, we should be doing everything we can to keep communities of interest together. And I think, the piece that I wanted to lift up the most is transparency. I think the county council here has an opportunity to really build trust in the redistricting process. So I think it looks like you all are doing that already, but making sure that it continues, right? That's trying to have meetings be as open and accessible as possible, and that you all are doing outreach to ensure that the public knows that you're in the middle of a redistricting process and that you're getting as much input as possible. But beyond that, right, we want to make sure that materials are made available to the public, that maps are shared early on, that justifications for the map is drawn that way, and more importantly, that we know who the demographers are that are working with the commission that are drawing the maps. I think outside of that, making sure that there's accountability in the process, just making sure that if there are non-public discussions, you're going to closed sessions, that there's some information shared after the fact. So Common Cause is available to assist where needed. We've got a national redistricting team of demographers and others that can assist. But obviously we stand in coalition with the residents who are calling on the commission to draw a map that includes 3 majority Black districts and 1 minority majority district. Thank you so much for allowing us to provide comments.
The next speaker is Mary Muth, followed by Pat Hook.
Hello, everyone. This is Mary Muth. I'm the president of Boley's Quarters Improvement Association. I'm here tonight to present Boley Quarters Improvement Association's support of our district as drawn on the map. We find that that district does follow natural boundaries, geographic boundaries, and keeps communities together, particularly communities that have like concerns for our economy, our environmental, our safety, and most importantly, the protection of one of our national treasures, the Chesapeake Bay. So we certainly appreciate no division of the communities that have very similar concerns and issues. We would greatly appreciate being under one council person who we can work with, and that one person would have one voice for us as well. So thank you, and thank you to each of those of you who serve on this commission. We appreciate your time, and we know it's volunteer, so that's even more appreciated. So thank you.
The next speaker is Pat Hook, followed by Carol Hart.
Good evening. My name is Patrick Hook, and I currently serve as the president of the Hawthorne Civic Association. The Hawthorne community is located in Middle River, Maryland. I appreciate the opportunity tonight to address you and asking you that you maintain the existing boundaries of Council District 8 as drawn in Bill 4724 by the County Council. For too long, our region, especially the Middle River area, has suffered from fragmented representation. Right now, Middle River is split among 3 different council districts. This division has diluted the voices of residents and made it difficult for our community to address our unique concerns effectively. The current map in Bill 4724 offers a much-needed solution by the uniting Middle River and Essex, ensuring a coherent and focused representation. Our waterfront communities share distinctive challenges and opportunities. By keeping Middle River and Essex together, the map allows us to speak with one strong voice. Splitting Middle River and Essex across multiple districts only hinders our ability to advocate for policies that directly address our needs. Waterfront areas face specific challenges such as coastal erosion, flooding, and water quality concerns. A consolidated district allows for coordinated efforts in environmental protection and infrastructure improvements that benefit all of our residents. Our identity as waterfront communities is rooted in shared traditions, lifestyles, and mutual interests. The current boundaries enables a belonging and enables us to work together for more effective community events, public safety, and quality of life initiatives. The existing configuration in Bill 4724 not only rectifies the issue of Middle River's division among 3 council districts, but it also ensures that our unique waterfront interests are recognized and effectively advocated at the county level. I respectfully urge the Commission to preserve the District 8 boundaries as set forth in Bill 4724, and we feel that it will secure a unified, effective representation for Middle River, Essex, and our waterfront communities, strengthening our collective voice and ensuring our needs are addressed. So I want to thank the Commission for your time and for your consideration.
The next speaker is Carol Hart, followed by Shafiq Hinton.
Good evening.
Can hear you.
My name is Carol Hart, and I serve as the president of the Oliver Beach Improvement Association. I am here today on behalf of my community and our neighbors along the waterfront to strongly advocate for maintaining the existing boundaries of Baltimore County Council District 8, as drawn in the map established under Bill 47-24. For the first time, Bill 47-24 has created a true waterfront district that recognizes and respects the shared interests, needs, and priorities of the residents who call Baltimore County's waterfront home. From Oliver Beach to Middle River, Essex, Bowley's Quarters, and beyond, our communities have long been tied together by geography, economy, and culture. The map drawn by the council on 7/1/24 ensures that these communities remain united under a single focused representation on the county council. Our waterfront communities share a unique economic identity. Many residents and businesses rely on the Chesapeake Bay and its tributaries for their livelihoods. The marine industry, recreational boating, waterfront dining, and tourism all are integral to our economy. Keeping our district intact ensures that these industries continue to have a strong advocate in local government. As waterfront residents, we experience coastal erosion, storm surge flooding, and water quality concerns firsthand. A unified waterfront district allows for a coordinated approach to addressing these environmental challenges. We have a rich recreational and cultural heritage. Boating, fishing, crabbing, and water sports are not just hobbies. They are a way of life for our community. Preserving District 8 as a waterfront district ensures that the traditions and lifestyles that define our communities are protected and supported in the future. The current boundaries of District 8 are drawn on 7/1/24, reflect who we are as a community. Our neighborhoods have more in common with each other than the inland areas that do not face the same challenges and opportunities as waterfront communities. Changing these lines now would break apart a district that has crafted to provide fair and focused representation for a very unique part of the county. In conclusion, this redistricting process should serve the best interest of Baltimore County residents. For the first time, our waterfront communities have been recognized as a district and unified district, and it is critical that we maintain our representation. I urge this commission to preserve the current boundaries of District 8 as established in Bill 47-24. Thank you for your time and for your dedication to ensuring fair and effective representation for all of Baltimore County residents. Respectfully, Carol Hart.
The next speaker is Shafiq Hinton, followed by Paul Danagra.
Good evening, members of the council, Council Chair Artel, members of the commission. My name is Shafiq Hinton, proud resident of the East Side, and yes, someone known for volunteering for one too many boards. However, tonight I'm speaking to you as myself, resident of Baltimore County. I'm advocating for fair maps with a particular focus on the east side of the county. Before I go any further, I want to thank the council for expanding from 7 to 9 districts. This is an important step towards giving voters more opportunities to elect candidates of their choice. Also want to commend the Redistricting Commission for addressing the newly created maps, which appear to limit voter choice in key areas and key communities. So to start, we must recognize a fundamental reality. Baltimore County has changed significantly over the past 15 years. Diversity is no longer concentrated in the West in neighborhoods like Woodlawn, Randallstown, or Owings Mills. We now have growing diverse populations in Overly, Rosedale, and Middle River. These communities are among the fastest growing in the county, fueled by major developments along the Route 43 corridor and the Greenlee Crossroads Master Plan. However, despite this demographic shift, a quick glance at the newly drawn map, and one thing is clear: citizens of Eastern Baltimore County had little to no say in this process. Even in terms of advocacy, most of the voices speaking out against this map have come from West Side leadership. While we are grateful for their support, we cannot ignore the deafening silence from leaders on the East Side. Middle River is much more than a waterfront community. Eastsiders, we deserve a voice, and now through this process, we can claim it, because you know what? No one knows our neighborhoods like us. The census data tells the truth. Eastern Baltimore County is experiencing a renaissance. We are home to young, thriving, and diverse families who are shaping the future of our county. But a renaissance means nothing if we allow outdated concepts and mindsets to define our political landscape. So I urge the council, do not let this process be symbolic. Yes, redistricting is inherently political, but the people must always come first. So throw out the map, start over, avoid the lawsuit, and let's get it right. And to my fellow community advocates, keep fighting. This battle is far from over, but let's not lose sight of the bigger picture. It's not enough to simply draw a minority district. We must ask ourselves, are we actively recruiting, supporting, and preparing candidates who can actually win? Because if we skip this crucial step, we may achieve a more equitable map, but we will not achieve true representation. Community leaders, elected officials, and advocates and voters, we all have a role to play. Let's not mistake what Baltimore County once was for what it is now. It's people over party. It's not people over party. Excuse me, it is people party. Together we can build a community that truly reflects and serves the people who call it home. Thank you.
The next speaker is Paul Dungara, followed by Philip Williams.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing the public an opportunity to speak. My name is Paul Dungara. I've lived in Baltimore County for 30 years. I had a small business here. I've raised 3 kids, but tonight I'm here as a member of the executive committee of the Greater Baltimore Group of Sierra Club. I actually also ran for county council as a grassroots candidate, which I feel gives me a very unique perspective as to how these new districts can help the politically disenfranchised achieve real change. Although I agree that it's important to have a council that is reflective of the county's demographics as a whole, I feel that this goal should not usurp the prudent position that desires the creation of compact districts. As the maps stand now, 2 precincts in District 1, Precinct 1-007 and 1-008, that vote at Westtown Elementary are slated to become part of a newly created district. These communities, however, share important relationships with District 1, namely the shared infrastructure of Edmondson Avenue, inclusion within the broader Catonsville Sustainable Community boundary, shared school boundaries, and are located in close proximity to the Catonsville Neighborhood Node, the county's master plan designation that seeks to promote sustainability and spur more equitable development patterns. By removing these precincts from District 1, this commission would be hindering the goals of the Baltimore County Master Plan, the Catonsville Sustainable Community District, and would increase the level of complexity in being able to solve our local regional problems aimed at promoting equitable outcomes for everyone. listening to everybody's testimony this evening, I had written, I am sure this is not a unique dilemma, but after listening to everyone, I know it's not a unique dilemma to my community, and urged the commission to consider factors like node boundaries of the master plan, sustainable community designations, major transportation thoroughfares, and similar geographic considerations to create districts that will be best suited to improve the lives of every county resident. Thank you so much and have a great night.
The next speaker is Philip Williams, followed by Jyoti Mohan.
Mr. Phillips, I can see that you're on as an attendee. However, I'm not sure if you're on by phone, but I'm unable to move you to as a panelist. If you can send me something in the chat, we can come back to you. Maybe you can log off and log back on. Thank you.
So we will try to come back to Mr. Williams. So next up is Jyoti Mohan.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much for allowing me to provide my testimony to the Redistricting Council, and thank you so much for your service to the county. It's a very, very important job that you are performing. I do not have any specific recommendations at this time, except to urge that each electoral district be drawn fairly to represent all voters, as well as communities of interest, and possibly to suggest that the public gets an increased opportunity to participate, not just through the public hearings, but potentially through contributing to the map overlay, which could be possibly made available online so that people can contribute their own suggestions about the I'm sorry, my child just came in. It's just being very noisy. People could contribute their own suggestions as to what they would like to see in a redistricting, which might give you options, might give you suggestions to work with. Thank you so much.
Excuse me. Excuse me, Adam. But just listening to the last speaker, we have made it available that everyone can go to our website and watch everything that we're doing, correct?
Oh yeah. All the meetings are live streamed and recorded, and there's a link that goes up a day or two later, directly on the webpage to the video. So
Yeah, just to clarify for Adam, there's two avenues for that. If you go to the 2025 commission page, all the meetings are listed in the public hearing and the date is there. And if you click on the date, it takes you to the council's virtual meeting page, where you can join. So there's two, you can either go right to the virtual meetings page, or you can hit the link on the date, which takes you to the virtual meetings page to the same place where you can join the meeting virtually.
I just wanted to clarify that we as commissioners are making it possible that you as citizens can also hear and see exactly what we're doing, every step that we're taking.
that is what we've set up for you. So if Philip Williams does come back on, we will jump to him, but in the meantime, we will continue going down our list. The next speaker is Karen Braithwaite Yarn, followed by Pamela Shaw.
Good evening. Karen Braithwaite Yarn here. I am a member of New Horizons Group, and I endorse the Woodlawn approach. Of the three main map options, the Woodlawn approach does the best job of keeping the districts compact and comparable in size, and the best job of keeping what most residents traditionally define as Pikesville D4 and Towson D5 together. This map splits most of the West Side's African American population 2 ways, not 4 ways, as does the ACLU map, and places most of the 135,000 African Americans along Liberty Road in Woodlawn D2 or Randallstown D3. Equality is defined as treating everyone the same. Equity is defined as giving people what they need to be successful, and we do want to give our residents an opportunity to be successful. I thank you for the opportunity to give my opinion, and congratulations on the commission, folks. This is a very important step for us in Baltimore County. Thank you.
The next speaker is Pamela Shaw, followed by Dana Vicker-Shelley.
Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here and to be able to talk to all of you about this important matter. I'm Pamela Shaw. I'm the president of the Lutherville Community Association, and I've come here tonight to talk about the very importance of community and community associations. As the president of the Lutherville Community Association, we have had in the past our community divided right down the middle by the state. We fought strenuously during the last redistricting of the state to get us pulled back together and in one district. The unintended consequence of that is that one of the smaller Lutherville Community Association groups, Orchard Hills, was divided up the middle. There are 4 community associations above the Beltway that represent the Lutherville communities. We go from the Beltway all the way up alongside the I-83 up to about Owlsbury Road. It's a very large group. Below the Beltway is Towson. So those communities, they're the fabric, right, of the Baltimore County residents. They're where we live, they're where we work, they're where we shop, they're where we worship. We know each other best, and we know the other community associations that we engage with best. We very much want the Redistricting Commission to look carefully at the communities and the community association boundaries. They're present in my neighborhood. Hopefully that data set will be transported into the software that you will be using so that you can see where the associations are, and in fact where some of the umbrella groups that sit over top of them and also represent them lay on the maps. I am here at any time that you want to ask any questions. You know that I watched carefully the structural work group sessions, and I plan to be here through all of this sessions. Thank you.
Just a quick note, the community boundaries will be in the redistricting application, as well as a few others that have been mentioned, specifically the Sustainable Communities Map. There's one other that was mentioned, but everything mentioned so far, I am working with GIS to make sure is in the redistricting gap. So the next speaker is Dana Vicker-Shelley, followed by Al Barnes.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Dana Vicker-Shelley, a resident of Baltimore County and Executive Director of the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU of Maryland. As you seize this unique opportunity to prioritize representation, for democracy in Baltimore County, the ACLU urges the Commission to use this powerful tool of redistricting to ensure that Indigenous, Black, Latine, and Asian and other residents of color can have full access and opportunity as protected by the U.S. Constitution and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Fair district maps in this county are long overdue. Without fair maps, we have a government that only is representing the interests of some communities and not all of us. What you are tasked with is to make sure our local government truly represents the unique history, experiences, identities, and aspirations of everyone who calls Baltimore County home. Whether we've lived here since 1956, when the current map was established, or since last year, all of us are counting on your leadership and expertise to lead to a Baltimore County Council whose membership accurately and truly reflects and represents this entire community. Here in Baltimore County, while the council expanded the number of districts to 9, they quietly linked the expansion to a new redistricting map that was not only racially discriminatory, but that voters were not fully aware of. Baltimore County can do better. The ACLU is eager to collaborate you and draw on our 30 years of experience representing jurisdictions across the state to make sure that democracy is accessible to all. Our current demographer has already shown that 3 majority Black districts and 1 majority BIPOC district can be created while also keeping districts compact, contiguous, equal in population, and giving due regard to natural and community boundaries, the benchmark set by the Voting Rights Act. But even more important, it's the right and the just thing to do to protect our local democracy. I implore each of you to be inspired as your work moves forward so that Baltimore County residents should not have to wait another 69 years for full and equitable representation on the council. You have the power to finally make equal access to democracy a reality. Thank you so much.
The next speaker is Al Barnes, followed by Sharon Blake.
Good evening, Commission, everyone. My name is Al Barnes. From what I have witnessed from living in Baltimore County for 30 plus years, and attending the Baltimore County Council December 10th, 2024 workshop, I would not trust the council to create a fair redistricting map on its own. At that work session, Councilman Crandall and others said that the makeup of the county council just happened. I did not believe that. Just as the fact that few, if any, minority businesses in Randallstown own the property that they operate out of, or we now have a president that has no concern about democracy, didn't happen. Council needs input from others that understand that such major tragedies don't just happen. Also at this meeting, council members stated that they were appalled that minorities questioned council members' ability to represent minorities and called that petty. I'm appalled that we have councilmen that believe that our desire to choose whomever we want is petty. We need the new map to be fairly designed, and that can only be achieved with people that understand our concerns. We desire a council that is reflective of county's diversity with not just minority representation, but minority representation that is engaged with our agenda. I cannot think of a more critical local issue. I believe that a fair map can be accomplished with the Woodlawn approach because of the logic explained in the Woodlawn approach documents. Thank you.
The next speaker is Sharon Blake, followed by Sharonda Huffman.
Good evening, distinguished members of the Baltimore County Redistricting Commission 2025. I'm Sharon Blake. I presently reside in District 1 as a 40-year citizen of Baltimore County. I come before you to request this commission to select the Woodlawn Approach Expansion Map. The Woodlawn Approach Expansion Map meets the requirements set forth by Baltimore County Charter, Section 207. Moreover, we must acknowledge the growth of our county from 350,000 to 860,000 over the past 70 years. We must also acknowledge the changing demographics of our county. Blacks and/or African Americans now make up 30% of the population of Baltimore County, but presently are represented on the county council with only one seat. To that end, the Woodlawn Expansion Approach Map addresses the issue of growth and the demographics of the county. In addition, the Woodlawn approach is in compliance with the Voting Rights Act, long established by the 2001 and 2022 Department of Justice determination that allowed for the formation of a supermajority minority district at both the state and local levels. Equally as important, I submit that the Woodlawn approach map fulfills redistricting standards regarding comparable sizes, contiguous, and recognizes communities of interest. Moreover, the Woodlawn approach generates two supermajority districts, one of 62% and one of 72% in West Baltimore County. The Woodlawn approach creates three 40% Black, Indigenous, and other people of color districts located in District 1, Catonsville area, and District 8, Essex, and District 7, Parkville, both located in East Baltimore County. To that point, this map is designed to ensure Black, Indigenous people of color will have an opportunity to influence the outcomes of the election. I am also in support of the Woodlawn approach map because it meets the redistricting standards of keeping the districts both comparable in size as well as compact. This is evident by keeping the well-established communities such as Towson and Pikesville in close proximity. I believe it is in the best interest of Baltimore County citizens that the members of this 2025 Redistricting Commission recommend the Woodlawn approach map to the County Council of Baltimore as the official redistricting map. I thank you for your time.
The next speaker is Sharonda Huffman, followed by Crystal Mercer.
Hello, thank you so much for this opportunity. And I want to thank everyone on the Redistricting Commission. I have listened to every meeting and you are amazing. And I just want to state that nothing will be perfect in this process. Everybody's whole unincorporated town probably can't stay together. I do believe the community association should stay together. I would also ask ACLU to give the commission sample maps versus the council staff. The council staff has admitted that the exhibit 4724 was based on political performance. Councilman Crandall recently added the East Point Mall to the Essex Development Corporation. The East Point Mall is not an exit. So the exhibit that is unofficial, 4724, because it has not been given to the Board of Elections, places the Essex Community Development Association in two different districts. So as a resident of the Middlesex community, I remain neutral on its association with other parts of the county as long as diverse voices are represented. My primary concern is basically following the letter of the law. I reminded the council earlier this week that the Voting Rights Act is a federal law and the county charter is a county law. They are very similar. However, there is more emphasis on minority majority districts. And I think we should really look at that focus. And then secondary, look at keeping our communities together. So I just wanted to be a transparent process. And I hope that the council will tell you the truth about Exhibit 4724. It was added to your documents, but it was not given to the Board of Elections. So therefore, it is not actually real. And I appreciate the fact that you said you will start from scratch, but unfortunately, most people are using that map that was not official. Thank you very much for your time.
The next speaker is Crystal Mercer, followed by Fergal Malali.
Good evening, everyone. I am Crystal Mercer. I am a member of the South Perry Hall Boulevard Improvement Association Board, as well as the Overley High School PTSA Board, where we firmly stand on our solid belief that we are one team living as one family who share one vision. Our current map has literally taken part of our community, Rosedale, and separated them by the last redistricting and appointed them to Dundalk. Our families and students subjected to that change are outraged. For the past 3 days, I personally have been asked and attended 3 senior nights for high school students connected by our family mantra. At Kenwood High School on Tuesday night, Overley High School on Wednesday night, and Parkville High, which I just left at 5:30 to be here. So our communities matter a lot to us. Even though we have students that are in separate high schools, they are very much connected and support one another and show up strong. Also critically important factors to consider during the map revision procedures are the demographics of the east side of the county to ensure there are fair opportunities for people who are sharing likeness to have representation to reflect our interests and needs. Ensuring fair and representative districting is critical to strengthening democracy and empowering communities. Right now, East Side residents are being left in the dark, with people from the outside their community determining what their representation will look like. Without leadership that truly reflects our population, decisions are being made without the voices of those most impacted. District lines must keep communities together rather than splitting them apart, diluting their collective influence. Furthermore, given the lack of minority women in elected leadership on the east side, greater effort must be made to determine the feasibility of a minority-majority district that truly represents the people. Reviewing the ACLU map proposals with a focus on expanding opportunities for minority leadership is a necessary step toward ensuring that the East Side is no longer overlooked or dictated by outsiders. I thank the commission for coming together, and I also would just implore upon you. I was one of the folks the last time extremely upset when we learned about the map we knew nothing about, which is currently law and governing us. So I'm very, very grateful to all of you for taking on this initiative, and we look forward to hopefully a better outcome. Have a good night.
The next speaker is Fergal Malali, followed by Danielle Smith.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for volunteering for this important and, let's face it, difficult commission. Deciding where to draw district lines for county elections is probably not the sort of task that excites the passions of most of our citizens, but the impact of the choices that you will make will affect real people in real ways for many years to come. This work matters. Unfortunately, you have been placed in something of a difficult position. Before you have held your first meeting, the council which appointed you and can overrule you has already published and voted on a map of their own. If you recommend a map which is similar to theirs, you run the risk of being accused of being nothing more than a rubber stamp. If you come up with an entirely new map, you may worry that your hard work will be for nothing. I do not envy you in this position, but allow me to encourage you to be bold. Throw away the council map and start with a fresh canvas. Make the best possible map that you can for our county and let the council do with it as they will. But as you do so, I encourage you to pay attention to the experience of previous commissions. The redistricting process in Baltimore County over the years has at times been quite a contentious one. The previous redistricting commission drew a map which unfortunately dragged this county through litigation at considerable expense to Baltimore County taxpayers. This is an outcome I'm sure you will all want to avoid. So why was there a court case? Well, it was the old accusation of racial gerrymandering. The previous commission's district lines concentrated a supermajority of black residents into a single district, District 4, and did so in a way that minimized the influence of black voters in other districts by diluting the black populations across 2 different districts. This is on the west side, of course. I do not know if this was their intent when they drew the maps, but I doubt they could have been more effective in diluting the black vote if they had been trying. Racial gerrymandering is, of course, still legal in this country. The current Supreme Court has a reputation for being one of the most skeptical toward voting rights in living memory. But even they affirm that racial gerrymandering is still unconstitutional in the 2023 decision of Allen versus Milligan. According to the recent decennial census, 1 in 3 residents in Baltimore County identifies as black or African American. With 9 districts to draw, the onus is on this commission, as you try to make the fairest map possible, is to make every effort to draw 3 districts with majority African American populations. Now, the peculiar distribution of the various racial groups across the county does not make this job easy, but the Commission has already received multiple maps that shows that it is possible to, at the very least, make 2 majority and 1 plurality district, where the black population is the largest single racial group, even if it is not a majority. Your challenge is to meet this need while addressing the multiple other requirements necessary to make the best maps for this county. As I said already, I don't envy you the task, but I have every confidence that you can succeed. Finally, I've used up my 3 minutes, I'll stop. Thank you.
The next speaker is Danielle Smith, followed by Antoine Scott.
Hello, good evening, greetings. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Danielle Smith, and I am coming to you today as a private citizen and resident of Baltimore County for over 40 years. I'm also representing an organization of Baltimore County Citizens Black Women for Positive Change as the Baltimore County Chair. Our organization is a multicultural advocacy network of women, good brothers, interfaith leaders, business leaders, Gen Zs, millennials, Xers, and boomers. We also work in partnership with several national organizations. Black Women for Positive Change is dedicated to changing the culture of violence through promotion and awareness of de-escalation of violence tools and methods of alternative opportunities. I am here to voice our concerns regarding how the map was introduced to our communities, i.e. no transparency or input. We are concerned that Baltimore County residents of color are not being represented equitably and in compliance with the Voters' Right Act. We strongly support the Woodlawn approach to Baltimore County Council expansion for a host of reasons which have already been noted. What I will add is that we support the Woodlawn approach map not only is in compliance with the Voting Rights Act, it highlights the creation of a supermajority minority district at the local and state level. It satisfies the redistricting principles around comparable size, compactness, and recognizing communities of interest. The current map that prevailed during the 2024 election was false advertising, via the failure of the redistricting plan and continuing lack of fair and equitable representation that community groups advocated for regarding an expansion of the county council. While Baltimore County needs to catch up with the counties such as Montgomery County and PG County, we also need to get it right. We are truly still antiquated in servicing our communities. While the council expanded the number of districts, they quietly linked expansion to a new racially discriminatory redistricting map that voters were not informed about. Another reason why a seat at the table is crucial. The Woodlawn map will represent an important opportunity for voters and community groups to become involved in the process and advocate for a fair, equitable, and representative map that complies with Voting Rights Act and ensures fair elections for Baltimore County residents. In addition, what we are hearing directly from the community is that each prospective district has its own issues and concerns, i.e. they want to be informed and educated on how the prospective council member will represent them on issues such as education, housing, food deserts, healthcare, childcare, and job opportunities, all which are different depending on each councilmatic district. This would be the purpose of having someone who would know the issues and concerns of their prospective constituents, within their districts. Having representation that is reflective of the community will also inspire and encourage individuals to participate in the process. Lastly, equity and equality is crucial to our democratic process, and having a councilmatic district that are reflective of the constituents is important. Thank you for this opportunity.
The next speaker is Antoine Scott, followed by Sean McIntosh.
Good evening, honorable members of the Council Member District Committee. My name is Antoine Scott. I represent the Miss Renee Association Foundation, MRAF, a nonprofit committed to empowering Turner Station through economic development, social services, and youth mentorship. I stand before you today to make one thing clear. Turner Station must remain whole. We are not just a neighborhood. We are a historically Black community with deep cultural roots and a legacy of resilience. But history has taught us that when our community is divided, our power is weakened. Why this matters? Political representation. Turner Station is 67% Black, and redistricting should protect, not dilute, our ability to elect leaders with who understand our needs. If our district is fractured, we lose our voice. Funding and resources. Turner Station is a disadvantaged community where over 40% of the household live below the poverty line. Funding for youth programs, food security, and small businesses depend on strong representation. A split district means fewer champions fighting for these resources. Health and safety. We face 35% higher rate of respiratory illness than the national average due to industrial pollution. Maryland daily data shows that Black residents are 3 times more likely to die from asthma. We need unified leadership to push for better environmental protection and public health policies. Community identity. Turner Station was built by Black steelworkers during World War I and has thrived despite redlining and disinvestment. Maxine Waterhouse, a resident for over 70 years, remember when this was a vibrant, self-sustained community. She has seen what happened when we are ignored. Our request to this commission, keep Turner Station in one district, ensuring our political and economic strength. Do not divide our community. We need a single, unified voice to fight for resources. Recognize the historical and cultural significance of Turner Station protection, a legacy that has survived against all odds. Redistricting isn't just about drawing maps. It's about determining who get heard and who gets left behind. We can't afford to be divided, diluted, or disregarded. Turner Station future depends on this decision. Keep us whole, and thank you.
The next speaker is Sean McIntosh, followed by Carolyn Samuels.
Good evening, members of Baltimore County Map Redistricting Commission, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I am here tonight as part of a collective of community members and organizations deeply committed to ensuring that Baltimore County's new council districts are fair, competitive, and most importantly, keep our communities together. Our goal is to create districts that are truly representative of the people they serve, districts that promote healthy democratic competition and reflect the diversity of our county. As you know, the push to expand the county council from 7 to 9 members was driven by the need for more inclusive representation. Voters approved this expansion in the November 2024 election, showing a clear desire for a fairer council. I'm very happy to hear that you are starting with a blank slate, because the map proposed by the council was horribly gerrymandered. Gerrymandering that divides communities is unhealthy. Communities of interest, whether based on race, socioeconomic status, or shared issues, must not be split for political gain. Gerrymandering weakens our democracy and prevents fair representation by diluting the voting power of entire neighborhoods. We must ensure that our district boundaries are drawn with care and respect for communities, keeping neighborhoods and people who share common interests together. When we divide communities, we weaken their ability to advocate for their needs, and we make it harder for elected officials to truly represent those communities. The goal is not just to create more districts, but to create fair, competitive districts that reflect our county's diversity and allow every voice to be heard. Competitive districts encourage accountability and responsiveness from elected officials, and they give voters meaningful choices in elections. They ensure that all communities, regardless of race or political affiliation, have the opportunity to elect representatives who truly reflect their concerns. As the 2025 Redistricting Commission begins its work, you have a crucial opportunity to reset the process and draw a map that keeps communities whole, provides competitive elections, and ensures fair representation for all of Baltimore County's residents. This is a chance to create districts that truly reflect the diversity and needs of our county, where every voter feels that their voice matters. I urge you to prioritize the integrity of our communities and draw districts that are fair, competitive, and representative. Let's work together to ensure that Baltimore County's future is one where all residents have a fair chance to be heard and fairly represented. Thank you for your time and your dedication to creating a fair and inclusive electoral process for all.
The next speaker will be Carolyn Samuels, followed by Corinthia Cromwell.
For 40 years. I have been active in the Pikeswood Civic Association over the years as president and secretary. I agree with the Woodlawn approach because it keeps the traditional communities intact as a voting bloc. That's important. And it creates 2 voting districts. It's important that greater representation of African Americans in this county can prevail. We need to add this one additional district that currently will enable greater representation for African Americans. And this one district should have at least 60% African American population. Some of the districts may have a census report of 50% African American residents. However, that percentage may not be a true indicator of projected voters. For example, when I was canvassing for 4 more council slots throughout Baltimore County, I met adults with children who had moved to the area and had failed to register to vote. Others who had questionable citizen status, and others who had not changed their address but lived in Baltimore County. So, and they had not gone to the Board of Elections. And these variables impact elections nationally and locally. And so we need to, I think, consider those variables when you bring your, come together to develop your districts. However, when I was canvassing, I like to just mention that all of the people I met while I was canvassing felt that they were not represented, and they were eager to sign for additional council seats. So there is a need to add more council positions, and we need the Woodlawn approach to be adopted. I thank you for your consideration, and have a good evening.
Good evening to the commission and everyone here in the room. My name is Corinthia Cromwell, and while you might not know my name, I'm just a resident of Baltimore County. I grew up on the west side. I bought my house 19 years ago here on the east side, and it's been my honor to be able to experience all of the different areas. And as I said, some of you don't know who I am, but aside from being a Baltimore County resident, I'm also a musician. And I get the opportunity to travel Baltimore County, Baltimore City, everywhere, and actually in the mix with the people that are there. And I get to hear their stories. I get to hear their challenges. I get to hear their sorrow. I get to go into schools and I see kids from one county that have things that they need to help them to grow. And I go to another county and I see kids there that don't have anything that helps them to grow so that they can be competitive. I go into nursing homes with the elderly and I see them there and they not have what they need to live their best life. And I don't know if anyone understands this, that when you become elder, that's your time to live your best life, because you ain't got to raise no kids, you ain't got to pay no bills, you get to relax and eat what you want and have a wonderful time. So that time should be the best time of your life. But if you're in a facility that does not have the funding to help you to do that, you're relegated to sitting in front of the TV, watching TV, Price is Right, playing bingo. And life is more than just those things. I believe people go into that setting not to die, but they go there to live. They go there to even walk out those things that they weren't able to do because they got married and had kids and couldn't do those things. So my hope and my reason for coming today is because while I don't hold a title, I don't know about these meetings, and I hope that there's a better way to disseminate the information so people like myself, just regular, Jane Schmoes, can come to the meeting and make our voices heard and speak for those people that can't come, to speak for the kids, speak for the seniors, speak for the single moms and single dads, to say, hey, listen, we need more help. We need more representation. I need a place where I can take my kids, and I'm seeing my last few seconds, take my kids while I'm at work. My kid can be in the neighborhood recreation center playing basketball, having a good time. They come home. I can feed them dinner, put them in the bathroom, put them in the bed, so they're ready for the next day for school. But if we don't have the funding, if we don't have representation for our communities, that won't happen. And then when we sit back and we look and we're asking ourselves, what happened? It's this very thing that we didn't consider all of the people that we have put our hands and our hearts in your hands to make the right choices and right decisions so that we can have a prosperous life. And I'm done. Thank you.
The next speaker is Cheryl Gottlieb, followed by Ann George.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So I'm just going to be really quick. I just wanted to remind everybody that the council districts are also the school board districts, and that you should keep in mind school catchment areas when you're deciding on districts, so that the school board members are actually representing the neighborhoods that go to the schools and everything, and make sure that as many of the schools are included in, the districts as possible. So that's all I had.
And one quick note on that, it is correct that state law does say that the school board districts are the same as the council districts. However, it is the ambit of the General Assembly to decide if that is going to remain the case post council expansion. I just wanted to give that quick note about who decides what. The next speaker is Ann George, followed by Peter Richkis.
Anyway, I got it. Good evening, Council Committee. First of all, I'd like to thank you for serving. This is a really difficult task, and there's been a lot of history. And I just thought I brought a sign that probably got more media exposure about 4 years ago. I'll turn it around so the people behind me can see it. Okay, and I am a resident of Timonium, and I kind of like to think of myself as a political activist and a seeker of good trouble in the vein of John Lewis. And I think there are people here that can attest to the fact that I nudge both Democrats and Republicans. And in addition to the fact that I see that this is a difficult task, and you've got a lot of different views here that have been represented, and a lot of people, nobody's going to be totally happy. I did want to point out a few things. First of all, transparency is really important to all of us, and we hear that these are going to be open meetings and you're going to follow the procedures, and that certainly is expected. So along with that, which has worried me in the past, is that there's sometimes undue influence in private conversations with members that might be influential, like the county council members. I would like to see you throw out the map of July 2024 for a number of reasons. One, it is my understanding that there's a possibility that one reason that map was produced was to get certain members of the council to approve going from 7 to 9. And there was a lot of, I've been following this. So I think we should just start fresh, as other people suggested. I really like the Woodlawn approach map when I read it. I like the fact that it was so contiguous, which is one of the requirements, but it also only has 2 minority or black districts. And ACLU, if there's one that could come up with 3 majority black and a minority, and that kind of ignored the other minorities in the council, I mean, in the county. It didn't say anything about other minorities. So I thought the fact that it's majority, but not majority black would also be another plus. The other thing that I wanted to say is I know communities want to stay together, but sometimes that's going to be a difficult thing. But you know what? Suppose that half the community is in one district, one councilman's district, and the other one in another. That means you could have 2 advocates for it on the council instead of 1. I'll just leave it at that because my time's up, but that's where I am. Thank you very much for your time.
The next speaker is Peter Richkes, followed by Takia Morris.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Peter Richkes, and I'm a longtime resident of District 6. You have a very challenging task, made even more difficult by the compressed timeline that you've been given to create a completely new map. And you've heard many of the different views this evening. I'm sure there are more to add to that complexity. But I wanted to thank you for your efforts to date to ensure this process is transparent and accessible. I know from questions and comments that you've made during your earlier hearings that this is your intention. It's long past time, as many have said, for all of our communities to have a full and fair opportunity to elect candidates of their choice to the council. At your last commission meeting, Mr. Phillips stated that the driving factor behind the council's 4724 map was political performance. I believe the commission should ignore that map since it was not shared with voters last November and use data and public input to develop your own recommendations and leave the political performance concerns to the council. In 2021, the 2020 census results clearly justified 2 majority Black districts and 1 majority BIPOC district. Unfortunately, the council's political determinism blocked this outcome. As a result, 6 of the 7 districts remained majority white. And in 2022, every Black candidate running for county council in majority white districts lost to their white counterparts. As a result, the current county council consists of 6 white men and 1 Black man. And however wonderful they are, the makeup of the current council does not look like the county's voting age population. The current 2025 redistricting process offers an opportunity for the new 9-district map to reflect Baltimore County's diverse population. Based on census data, 3 of the 9 districts should be majority Black and 1 should be majority BIPOC. The pie charts that I've distributed and will be in my written version of my testimony show just on the numbers why this makes sense. There are lots of other factors to take into consideration, but as you can see from the pie chart, 3 Black districts, 1 BIPOC district matches what our population numbers suggest. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
And our last speaker this evening is Takia Morris. Bless you.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Takia Morris. I'm a mother of 4, homeowner, small business owner, and an active member of my community in Randallstown, Maryland. I'm here today to express my deep concerns regarding the upcoming redistricting plans and the potential impact that it may have on my family, my neighbors, and our community as a whole. First and foremost, I want to emphasize that our schools are already underfunded and overcrowded. Yet despite these challenges, we continue to see developments that prioritize gas stations, storage units, and other non-essential infrastructure, while critical services like grocery stores, community centers, and educational resources remain lacking. Over the past 9 years, we've lost 3 supermarkets along Liberty Road, significantly limiting access to fresh food. This has put our community at risk of becoming a food desert, particularly for residents without transportation. As a homeowner, I believe my tax dollars should be working to improve the quality of life of my family and my neighbors. But it often feels like we're being left behind in the process of growth and development. We need a development strategy that focuses on building a thriving community for everyone, especially for families who are most in need. This means investing in better access to healthy food, improving the quality of our schools, and creating spaces for local businesses to grow. These are the cornerstones of any strong, vibrant neighborhood, and they should be our top priorities. What concerns me most about the current redistricting plans is the potential for African American families like mine to be further marginalized, pushed away from these essential opportunities. Historically, this has been used as a tool to segregate communities, limit access to quality resources, and create divisions that hinder progress for entire neighborhoods. We cannot afford to allow this to happen again, especially when we are already struggling to access the resources we need. We must also acknowledge that these decisions are not about lines on a map. They are about people's lives. Redistricting can have a far-reaching impact on our schools, access to health care, employment opportunities, and overall quality of life. When communities are divided or left out of the development process, it only deepens the inequalities we already face. I urge the commissioners to take these factors into account and make decisions that reflect our needs of our community. Our focus should be on ensuring equitable access to all resources that will truly make a difference in our people's lives. This includes prioritizing investments in our schools, improving grocery access, and ensuring that all residents, regardless of race, income, or background, have the opportunity to thrive. I'm particularly in favor of the Woodlawn Approach Map, as it appears to offer a more balanced and equitable solution for our community. I strongly believe that this approach will ensure that no group is further isolated or disadvantaged, and that all families will have the opportunity to benefit from the growth and development in our areas. Thank you for your time and for your consideration of these important issues.
And that was our last registered speaker. So that wraps up our public testimony. I want to thank everybody who spoke today in person and online. You certainly made our jobs very easy by being respectful of everyone's time. And I want to open it up to the commission members for any closing words.
Yes. Hi, you all. Thank you. Thank you. We all appreciate you for being here. First and foremost, I want to thank the councilman. I want to thank all of our colleagues, and I want to thank my fellow commission members. And I absolutely want to thank everyone for showing up in person and virtually and doing the work. What I gathered throughout our conversation, right, because this was a conversation between us, right, is that you all are looking for fairness, you're looking for community, you're looking for transparency, and you're looking for notice, right? And so you want to be informed, and so it is our goal to make sure that everything we do is transparent, because this is your life, this is your livelihood, right? And so that is a great opportunity for you to make sure and ensure that you have everything that you are looking for, you have the resources, you have the tools to, search for your pursuit of happiness. And I thank you all for sharing your testimonies and sharing this with all of us. And we will take this into consideration and make sure we hear you and make sure your voices are into this decision. So thank you again.
Again, I just want to hop on what my colleague just said. Thank each and every one of you. But there was something said tonight that I'm looking forward to, that I don't have. And that's a copy of this ACLU map.
Yes, we recently got, I believe the ACLU map that's being referenced was sent to the council in August. I can certainly give you a paper copy. We will have the shape file of it, the electronic version in the redistricting app. And I'm just to round out the point on the maps. I've also started working on the Woodlawn map to make sure that that's also a digital version is in the redistricting app. And I've heard that the ACLU is also planning to submit additional maps, and we've already asked that they provide us with the shape file so that anything that they submit, from now on, we can have in the redistricting app. And of course, I can provide you paper copies as well.
The only reason I brought that up, Adam, is because I don't want the constituents, these people who came out to give their time to speak, I want them to know that we're sitting here trying to do their will, not trying to just go ahead and pass something off again.
Absolutely, and my goal is that for anybody who submits a map, that we provide it to you in whatever format allows you to analyze it and use it in the ways that you see fit. To that point, if any members of the public are proficient in map drawing and you do want to submit a map, please be aware that we do, in order to get it on our redistricting app, we would need a shape file. Just a technical point.
I just wanted to hop in and share with everyone that's come here tonight, everyone that's watching, and just how wonderful the council staff are, the commission staff are. I want to thank Adam Phillips, Chris Belcastro, and Tom Bostwick for everything that they've done to pull us together to facilitate an open and transparent process. I want to further inform the community that every time you submit feedback, that feedback is forwarded to every member of the commission right away. I know each of us are getting pings on our cell phones multiple times throughout the day because the moment that your feedback is submitted, it is being forwarded by Adam Phillips to each of us. So my assumption is that if we don't have access to maps currently, it's because they were submitted prior to the work of the commission kicking off. So if there is anyone that has sample maps, if you could please send them our way again, so that we can, I can assure you as soon as they're sent that they will be sent and forwarded to us. We have seen maps around the Woodlawn approach sent to us. We've seen feedback around the Woodlawn approach and also other communities across the entire county. So please continue to send that feedback. And again, thank you so much to each of you for everything, all the work that you're doing to facilitate this process.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank everybody for your input. It's valuable. I know we took copious notes up here on different parts of paper. I know you did. And we appreciate the input. Adam, thank you for forwarding all those emails. Some are lengthy, but I think it's good input. It gives us a good idea what the citizens of the county are thinking. So thank everybody tonight, either here in person or virtual.
Okay, I think that concludes our meeting. Just as a quick yes, all testimony or written testimony will be posted tomorrow. And in terms of our next commission meetings, the next ones scheduled are Wednesday, February 26th, Thursday, March 6th, and Wednesday, March 19th. And you can watch or attend all three. Thank you very much for coming out.